The summer of 1960 proved to be an Indian summer for many of the ancient locomotives of the southern region. Like the warriors of old, the Drummond class T9 440s had retired to the west to make their last stand, and Pat Whitehouse visited the western slopes of Dartmoor to record their last days. At this time, 13 out of the original 66 members of the class were still in traffic, but all had gone by the end of 1961. Number 30715 was to last another 14 months until July 1961. However, at Whitsun in 1960, the 1899-built locomotive was still at work on the Plymouth to Exeter and Padstow and Bude lines to Oakhampton, and still had plenty of life in her. Sister engine 30718 was recorded at 78 miles an hour during the summer, recalling the great days of the turn of the century, when this particular batch of engines was known as Dubs Express, as they were built by the Glasgow Engineering Company and used on the LSWR's Top Link Express trains. Number 30715 sports two white discs on her smokebox. These indicate a Waterloo or Exeter to Plymouth or return working. The discs were the Southern's train describer system and could be fixed in any of 6 different positions on the lamp brackets. Most other railways used a standard British headlamp code, and the Southern used lamps at night, but in the same position as the discs. These told the signalman on what route the train was working. This particular train was the Plymouth portion of the famous Atlantic Coast Express, which was to combine with further portions from Padstow and Bude at Oakhampton, the hub of the Southern system east of Exeter. This system was known rather cruelly as the Withered Arm, due to its appearance on maps. With a large number of destinations served by long single-line branches, the Southern employed a system of multi-destination trains with through coaches, so that even the smallest Cornish resorts could boast of direct trains to London Waterloo. A second T9, also allocated to Oakhampton, draws number 30715's train out of the station in the direction it's come from, into the up sidings with passengers still aboard. This leaves the platform clear for the Padstow train, indicated by discs on either side of the smokebox, to run in, behind a bullied light Pacific locomotive. The Plymouth coaches are added at the back. The Atlantic Coast Express ran daily throughout the year and was famous for being the most multi-portion train in the country. The Southern had built special coaches for these through trains, so that a 2 or even 1 coach train sported first and second class accommodation. The T9s were ideally suited to the long branches, as, although they were large-wheeled, they had a good water capacity and were able to gallop along between the country stations with their light loads. They were designed by the redoubtable Dougal Drummond, who came from Scotland to the LSWR and perpetuated and improved his designs from that country. There was a distinctly Scottish look about his locomotives, although the T9's appearance was dramatically altered in the 1920s, when they were superheated, with the addition of an extended smokebox and stovepipe chimney. The British Railway's secondary locomotive line black livery suited them very well, and Oakhampton Shed kept its engines in very clean condition. .30715 had not been repainted for at least 4 years, as it still sported the pre-1957 British Railways totem, unlike 30313, which had the later one. The 2 engines on Shed here show the 2 principal variations seen on the class, tenders and splashes. 313 has wide splashes and a 6-wheel tender, while 715 has the 8-wheeled inside bearing watercart tender and a narrow cab and splashes. On the cab side can be seen the designation 3P above the number. This was British Railway's power classification and indicates a locomotive of grade 3 suitable for passenger work. An F indicated a freight engine and MT mixed traffic. The power grade ran from 0 to 9, the latter the most powerful. Number 30715 is next seen backing onto coaching set number 26, which has been dropped off from a down express. She's to take this to Padstow, as indicated by the discs. In the opposite direction, number 30338 is seen heading for Exeter with a local train. This engine has the wide splashes, indicative of one of the later built engines, and water cart tender. Strictly speaking, the T9 classification only applied to the wide splasher engines, but it later referred to all the engines, which had a far less prosaic nickname, greyhounds, as they were regarded as very speedy engines in their youth. A final view from the footplate takes us on to the Withered Arm at Launceston, where we see 30338 once again. One example of this much-loved class was preserved as LSWR and Southern Railway number 120, and she belongs to the National Railway Museum at York, although she resided on the Swanage Railway in Dorset at the beginning of the 1990s, still in operating condition